I'm sure that most of you know the old story about the astronaut who went far out into space and was asked on his return whether he had been to heaven and seen God. And he said yes. And so they said to him, well, what about God? And he said, she is black. And although this is a very well-known and well-worn story, it is very profound. Because if you are intelligent and reasonable, you cannot be the product of a mechanical and meaningless universe, 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 of a mechanical and
when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide?
The woke virus is a cult. It's a religion. And let me tell you what this religion is all about. This religion is all about making the world very binary. Ironically, in a very non-binary world, this is very binary. It's either the oppressor or the oppressed. And God forbid Jews who have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, survived the genocide, created a country, turned it into a technological superpower, and Jews all around the world, nobody gave anything to. They built themselves from scratch. Somehow, we can never be the oppressed because we're just too successful. We've just worked too hard. And that's a problem for the woke culture, because woke culture is all about sanctifying the victim. and it's all about looking down, what I call the bigotry of low expectation. That's the woke culture. And this, my friends, goes hand in hand with the Palestinian identity of victimhood, which the UN and the entire world have been feeding for almost 80 years. 80 years. It goes perfect with the woke, because not only have they made victimhood their identity, they've made it into a racket. They make money from this victimhood.
Anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no? Anti-Semitic rhetoric. And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
In each one of us, we have 4 broad categories of the soul's primary aspiration. And then through a series of questions of introspection, one can be assisted to assess where you are, what would give you deepest satisfaction, and then move into that line. The question really is, what is your broad temperament? You could still be pushed into any kind of activity. That temperament would mold the way you do that activity. So obviously we can see how certain activities are better suited for certain temperaments. The point is, there is no such thing as a wrong person. There's a person who's wrong for this job, and find them the right job and you'll find it works well. First, in the direction of knowledge, to learn, to share, to play with, to increase knowledge. That's one turn. The second is in the direction of strength, leadership, administration, action in the world to bring about change, adventure. That's the form that the second turn of temperament takes. And the third is towards exchange, interchange, building networks, relationships, increasing values, sharing, caring, giving, exchanging, but always with an increase in the overall growth. This is the third category. The fourth category is of skill and perfection in the work. Artisans, craftsmen, and it can be computers, for example. Your skill, perfection in programming can come in that category, but not always for everybody. Of the soul's aspiration, we recognize that in each one of us, one of these dominates. Sometimes just one dominates, the other three are subdued. For some of us, one dominates and a second one comes halfway, perhaps. Not equal, but reasonably strong. For a very few of us, there's one dominating, one coming halfway, and a third also. Important enough that it can't be ignored. That's rare. But observe which is your natural temperament. And then now you'll notice within that broad turn of nature, you can have many number of forms. The form itself is not important. It's this turn which is important. I like to play with people who are older than me, who are better than me, because that's how I learn. You take a space not because it's comfortable for you, but because it gives you an opportunity to grow.